Right, welcome to Stay Humble podcast, Alex Walmsley. How are you feeling today?
Hi mate, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling all right. Just a normal standard day, so feel good. How are yourself, mate?
I'm really good. I'm looking forward to delving into this sort of conversation with yourself, and I want to just firstly express to the listeners and that we both how we have a connection or like know each other is that we. Funny enough, I'd say it this way is maybe that we had a trial. I'd been my third year at university, and I remember yourself rocking up to this third year trial. I don't know if it's the first one you did, and I just remember you absolutely ripping through half a dozen people in this trial non-stop, and from there, like your career has just gone up and up and up, really. And you know that was probably the starting point of where you sort of gained some momentum. Would you say? Obviously,
Yeah,
Leeds met.
yeah, no, I think you're right. It was, I believe, was it Leeds Uni, the varsity game?
It
We
will have been,
played.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a trial game. So I sort of played amateur for Dewsbury Celtic. I've done all my life, and not that I'd had no interest in playing for the uni side. I just never really had the time. I used to go home and train and play for the amateur team, and I had a year placement and a lot of things like that, and a few injuries, and it just never come about. And just before my last year at uni, my amateur team played the England students in a trial game, and Paul Fletcher, Leeds Met head coach, was coaching the uni side, and he asked me to come down for his trial for Leeds Met, and yeah, I just thought I'd give it a go, and it sort of just started a knock-on effect for what would then kick on the start of my career. It was really the first sort of start of the stepping stone, so to speak, and what unfolded off the back of that sort of trial game and a successful time with Leeds Met sort of steered me onto a professional career in the game, and something I've been doing now for 8 or 9 years.
Well, it's mad to think, like, obviously the sort of rolling on, and obviously I looked at some of the stats and the fact that like you've made 200 odd career appearances now for both Batley and St Helens and teams like that, and obviously you've gone on to international honours with England and Great Britain and played a World Cup final. It's not just it's mad to think like at 2011 when you first came to Leeds Met, to think where you've gone on to do now is quite remarkable. To say that you didn't go down the traditional rugby path as such, you didn't go down like the sort of going through the scholarships and stuff. You kind of got picked up through the university, where just like Jimmy at the time as well, who was in the team. Jimmy Cargo, sorry.
Yeah, you're right. It was unexpected. I think it's a career path what I'm proud of and how I've achieved it. It's obviously the unorthodox route, and you talk about most kids go scholarship and academy and then sort of reserve level and then kind of tiptoe their way into probably Super League and first team, and even most of your championship players tend to have sort of an academy background, and been at some sort of Super League level, and whether it's been scholarship or academy before going championship, there's always that same, but it just never happened, and it was never really and I wouldn't say an ambition, but it was never really on the cards for me growing up, and I just enjoyed playing rugby. That was I firmly believe that's why I've probably gone on and achieved what I've achieved, because I enjoyed playing rugby, and when you enjoy doing something, you tend to try a bit harder, and you tend to get a little bit better at it, and you keep going on it that way. And every single team I've played for, I've loved played for Dewsbury Celtic. I played there since I was 9-10 year old, and some mates for life. And I went to Leeds Met, and I got welcomed in straight away, and in a successful team, and such a great group of lads and coaching staff. Then I loved it. So I naturally played well, and off the back of that, I got an opportunity to go to Batley on trial, and found myself amongst another good squad and good set of lads, and I enjoyed it. It was everything was sort of like a natural stepping stone. So I'd sort of gone from a very amateur basic level of training and level of competition to Leeds Met, which was a little bit more serious. There was gym, and the training was a bit more
very
intense.
professional.
Yeah, and you got people like Paul Fletcher and Paul Cook, very good coaches, and so you naturally get a little bit better. And then the stepping stone to Batley then was another little step. There was never that sort of giant leap for me. And, I went to Batley and I was training 3 times a week, and in a sort of, I had John Keir as my head coach, who'd sort of been head coach of Challenge Cup winning teams in Sheffield and Hull, and gone on and had a successful career at Wakefield, and one of the probably greatest modern era coaches. So I'd gone to Batley and been under John Keir, and and then that just helped that step up then to Super League and St Helens. He was always just another little chunk, and like I said, because I enjoyed it so much and enjoyed that extra bit of more of a challenge, I sort of took it in my stride, I suppose, and thankfully it's worked out pretty well. And I've had a nice career off the back of it, and hopefully there's still a few years left.
I hope so too. Can I just go back to the beginning in terms of sort of your purpose? Like, who influenced you to play rugby? Who were your influences when you took it up at Dewsbury? Were the people that were involved, like your parents or grandparents, or any people like that were sort of your influences into getting into rugby?
No, I've come from a family really, but never really played rugby. My parents were very supportive, and but never sort of, it was always, what did I want to do? I was typical sort of 8, 9, 10-year-old playing football on a Saturday, rugby on a Sunday. And it was football for me. And, my dad was a massive Leeds United supporter. So, we kind of, me and my brother just sort of fell into playing football, and as most kids probably do. And if I'm honest, it was Francis Cummins who sort of come down to my junior school. His partner, Francis Cummins, was obviously Leeds Rhinos winger, legend of the game, played for England and Great Britain, and won a Challenge Cup and things like that. He was, Franny come down to Eastbourne, and his partner, his wife, I don't think his wife, but his partner at the time anyway, was one of the teachers there, and he'd got involved at Dewsbury Celtic, and that was his sort of club, and he was setting up a junior league there, and he'd sort of gone around the local schools trying to just, get boys and girls up to Dewsbury Celtic and sort of form a junior league there. But I'd never really heard of it, to be honest. At 8, 9, we'd never sort of played. I was in a school which was all football or cricket, or we'd never sort of played rugby. And you sort of go up, and he'd sort of done a few trial sessions there, and I loved it. Absolutely fell in love with it, and that kind of just got us going. And my older brother Liam, Liam played at Leeds Met a little bit, and he played with me at Batley, and we've been in the same team at Dewsbury Celtic since we were there. Because we'd gone up together as a brother and a couple of brothers, and he was always a better player, and someone I looked up to a lot. And I think probably our Liam has probably had the biggest effect on me from a close personal point of view, because he was my older brother by 12 months, and even though it was a different age, I sort of played in that same team as him. I played a year above, and he was always a good player, and I always wanted to do well for him and try emulate him as best I could. And we just enjoyed it. You sort of get your mates there, and when your mates are there, and you're training with your mates on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and you're going out together on a Saturday, and you used to become really tight. It sort of becomes a second family, I find, especially amateur teams, because you're not there through contracts or, for work or money or anything. You're there for a reason, because you want to be there and play with your mates and enjoy the game. And I think you sort of develop that sort of social side to it, which inspires you then to keep going.
Yeah, I totally agree with you in terms of that social side. I think people don't understand that sort of, if they've not been in that sporting team environment, the social side, and why people find it difficult to come away from sports, particularly when you have that sort of side of the game. And it's really positive to hear, like, you had obviously your brother as sort of that person that helped you. But do you feel like he helped you, like, push you further with your career then? Obviously, when you were training and playing games together, he was able to help push you on that front.
Yeah, he probably did without realising, because I think I just wanted to be as good as him. You sort of get that natural sort of brotherly competition and an edge, and both fiercely competitive. I think that's just something we've had growing up, and maybe because we've been such a close age and we've had the same group of mates, we've always done everything together, we've gone out, it was always, not that we wanted to, but, you naturally drive each other to be better. We used to train together, go to the gym together, and probably without even realising, he has had a massive effect on influencing that side of me, to better myself and be a better player and a person. So I definitely would agree, and I think just touching on my family, and I've sort of come from a family where I've had really poorly parents. So my mum, I lost mum to cancer in 2012. 13. Sorry, I lost mum to cancer, but she'd been battling it for 13 years. My dad's had a skin and muscle and where he's lost his legs, and he's been in a wheelchair, disabled all my life, as long as I've ever known him. He got very poorly when I was just after I was born, and so I've always seen adversity, and I've always seen sort of real tough battles and challenges what people close to me have sort of had to endure. And I've just you kind of take it on board. You sort of you see real tough. What's really tough and what's hard and what's a real battle, and it sort of plays everything else into an easier narrative. And that had a massive effect when you've sort of got, you see people going through tough challenges, tough sort of circumstances and tough illnesses and fighting for their lives, and you see them at the best and at the worst. It sort of does make everything else seem so much easier, and you can push yourself a bit more because there's other real more important things which other people are going through.
Of course, and obviously that helps build that resilience, obviously seeing that, with your family and stuff like that, and able to sort of go through that adversity and stuff like you've said in terms of rugby. I wanted to ask as well, like obviously I've talked about obviously what got you sort of like your influences in rugby in the past. What would be your influences today? Would that be certain players that you play alongside? Is that coaches that you've had that have that influence, or is it just having your family now, like your children and partner? Are they the big influences in the way you are today?
Yeah, no, it's definitely my family, definitely me, my boys and partner. I think probably until I had my first son, Atticus, not that I was selfish, but everything I did was sort of around me and better than me, and I'd sort of what was best for me and my career, and that was all I was interested in. If that meant certain things couldn't happen, or I lost sort of touch with certain people, then I didn't really mind because it was all about me, and it was quite a selfish approach, really. And it probably worked for me to an extent, but I think when I sort of had kids and got a real purpose, then you sort of realise why I'm doing this, why I'm sort of getting up in the morning and training in the cold and the wind, and so I can sort of have a living and earn a sort of life and live a life what's going to make my kids' life so much better. Than it does drive me even more, because everything I'm doing right now is preparing, is hopefully to prepare them for a nice life for the future. And they are the main reason why I do what I do now, without a shadow of a doubt. I still love playing rugby. I still love playing for St Helens, and I still love going out on the field. But they're the main reason why I'm still doing it. And they are me, yeah. There's only so many ways I can say it, but they are. They're just why I do it.
That's really great to hear that you found that purpose, obviously through your family and stuff, and know what gets you up in the morning, like you say, on a cold or like a dark morning, to go to training and further improve yourself and stuff like that. That's really positive that you've found that purpose in terms of your career now. I was just going to ask, what are the sort of people around you that have helped you in terms of playing and stuff? Like, who are the people that have really influenced you as a player in terms of being a role model and, sort of improving you as a player? Who has had the biggest sort of influence in that regard?
I'd say my brother Liam. He I said before, he's had a big impact. Paul Eaton, my Dewsbury Celtic coach, amateur coach, especially back end. He sort of coached me at under 18s and into open age, and I'd sort of stopped playing at 15, 16, and I'd sort of, my team had folded. We didn't have enough played, and our Liam had gone on to a scholarship at Wakefield, and a few of the lads had gone and kicked on, and we didn't have a team, and I'd stopped playing. I just didn't want to play anymore, and that's probably one of the worst things I could have done. I just had no interest. I sort of went into a bit of a rut. I put on a lot of weight. I was quite an overweight kid, to be honest. I was weighing. I was topping over 20 stone at sort of 16, 17, and really, really in a bad shape, bad place, to be honest. And thankfully, Paul started the under-18s again at Dewsbury Celtic, and our Liam sort of came back, and there's a few of them and mates, and we sort of went back and we started playing again, and I couldn't. I remember the first session, and we had a warm up. We had to run around the pitch, and I couldn't make it. This was how bad I'd let myself go. I couldn't just jog around the rugby pitch to warm up. And Paul spent so much time and effort and put so much work into it to sort of get me fit. Not that we wasn't doing it to make me what was going to be a professional rugby league player. That was unknown cards and agendas. He wanted to do it because he wanted me to be fit and healthy and be a better person and grow up being healthy and being in a good physical shape. So he did that because he was a friend and wanted to see me be better, and it was massive. And Paul's been on the journey with me from that day and got me into such a good shape and got me playing well, and he sort of took over the open age, and we came through as an open age together, and he's developed me so much. And he still does now. We catch up all the time. We have a coffee and we catch up and talk about things away from rugby and how I can be a better person, not just a better player. But I think if you're a good person and you're doing the right things away from the field, and you've got good morals, it kind of reflects on how you go about your day-to-day living and how you approach work. And for me, it's training and playing. And Paul Ian was massive on that.
It's really good to find out that he was that positive influence that certainly, sort of changed your life around. And when you think about that, like the fact that you stopped playing and now you've ended up is this a professional career? So it's been quite the turnaround in terms of that. What I wanted to ask was sort of the current present time with St Helens, and wanted to sort of ask you what have like the challenges have been like with lockdown. With at the beginning obviously not being able to train together with teammates. What were that challenge like, and having to stay at home and then having to come back into now playing, but now playing with no crowds and stuff. What's that experience been like for yourself as a player?
It's been tough. It's been probably tough for everyone else. We've all been hit hard by these unprecedented times. I hate saying unprecedented. I've never heard unprecedented said as much as in these last 9 months as I've ever done before. It's been mental. I know when the lockdown first started, not that it come as a blessing, but I'd sort of come off the back of a big year last year. I'd sort of come back from an injury the year before, and I'd played. I'd missed 12 months rugby, and then I'd come back and I'd played a full year. We've got to both finals. We played every game, and then off the back of that, went to New Zealand for a Great Britain tour, and I had a few knocks going into the tour, picked up a few knocks coming after the tour, and I'd never sort of recovered by the start of the season. So initially the lockdown was a bit of a blessing because I started the year and I was struggling. I was struggling to play. I was struggling to get going. There was no match fitness there. I was fatigued and the body wasn't in a great place. So initially it was pretty welcoming because it allowed us to sort of rest. I mean, that only lasted for a couple of weeks when I'd rested up and sort of recovered and like what's the next step. And I think what happened was probably none of us expected of it to go on for as long as it did. We was expecting about playing within 4 weeks, and obviously 4 weeks became 2 months, and 2 months ended up being 3 or 4 months. And the challenge was training by myself. When you're playing a team sport and you go in on a morning, and whether it's cold and windy and icy or whatever the conditions are, and you've got some tough training ahead, the fact you've got 30 lads with you mucking in together or you get along with, and you've got the same sort of personalities and crack, and it spurs you through it, and you ride each other to better yourselves. Especially at a club like St Helens, where we've got high standards, and we hold each other to account, and if no one's going on, sorry, things just gone off. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still here.
Yeah, sorry, maybe something happened. So get held to account, and so you challenge each other. And when it's tough, you sort of look at the person next to you, and you want to be last, you want to be first, and that's just the competitive nature. To go from having that to having to train by yourself, and you haven't got all the facilities what you used to. You haven't got a state of the art gym and all these dumbbells and weights. You sort of, I was lucky. I'd sort of managed to scrape together some dumbbells and an old bench. I was using a TV bench for a bench, and just got everything I can and training and flogging myself. It was tough because you haven't got anyone there to sort of keep you going. It's so easy to kind of think, nah, do you know what? I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to go home and just not do it. But whenever, I did that a couple of times. I'd sort of got to the field and by myself, and I'd prepared this program, and I thought, nah, not today. And I'd go home and I wouldn't do all, and I'd feel crap. I'd feel shit. That day was because I'd not gone out and achieved something. It was a waste of a day, and I hate wasting days. We don't. You've got to make everything count, haven't you? So that was a challenge, was just going out and getting yourself and flogging yourself by yourself, making sure that whenever we do get the call, because we know it's going to be coming, and when it does come, we're not going to get much notice. We're only going to have 2, maybe 3 weeks lucky of training before we're back playing. So that was a challenge. That was a challenge, just doing it by yourself and trying to find that motivation. But like the motivation came from the days I didn't do something, and I knew I'd wasted that opportunity to better myself and put myself in a better physical shape coming back. And thankfully, them kind of days were few and far between. As it sort of got on and longer, you sort of start something at the beginning here, and you think, right, I'm gonna tackle this head on. But as it got longer and longer, and the weeks become months, it become harder and harder to keep challenging yourself, to keep improving and making the sessions harder. It was tough. It was tough, and thankfully we sort of got back training in July and back playing, and it was brilliant. You sort of come back training, and I remember those first sort of 2 or 3 weeks, some sessions was as good as the sessions that we've ever had at Saints. Well, to be honest, any sort of sessions I've ever been involved with at any sort of level, international, amateur, no matter, that training was that intense, and because everyone was so eager to get back, everyone was buzzing to see each other. We was happy to be back amongst familiar faces and ground, and back in the gym and hitting stuff, and we smashed it, and it was brilliant. And you're full of energy, and you get back to that first game, and it's the crowds out there, but it don't matter. We're back playing. Let's get them. Had a great game, and it was brilliant just to be back playing and training. Obviously, that sort of dwindles as the weeks come back, and you sort of notice the fans out there even more now as the sort of weeks are coming, and it's getting a bit darker and it's a bit colder, and you're sort of going out, and you're used to sort of 15,000 people there, and you're going out and there's no one there to warm up. It's quite surreal, and it's challenging because you sort of you probably underappreciate what the fans bring, and what they can give you, and that boost, and you sort of remember how it feels to make a debut again when the thoughts of fans being there, because you'd never experienced anything like that when you score for try and the roar and the fans just go mental. It's huge, and it's massively different, and it's something that we challenge each other as a playing group to make sure we can create our own atmosphere as best we can, because it's different. It's different, and it's sad. Sport without fans isn't sport. It's just it's a game. It's not that passion. The fans are the passion. The fans are the reason why we are lucky enough to do what we do, because they come in and pay money to watch us and support us through thick and thin. We are missing them massively.
Yeah, I can obviously imagine like the energy that there's missed from them games. Obviously when you're in tight games where it could be points difference in a game, and having that boost if you've got home fans behind you, or even just the away fans that travel, that extra energy can be the difference for a team. So I can imagine it been very difficult for you to adjust to that. And obviously, I don't know what it's going to be like in next year with it, if it's going to carry on the same to begin with, or but obviously I imagine it's been quite difficult. And I just wanted to just reflect back in terms of, like you said, about your training on your own. How did you as a group be accountable, like in terms of making sure you was training? Was there like WhatsApp, was there Zooms or stuff like that? What was able to keep you sort of knowing that everyone's on the correct path to what you wanted to achieve this season?
So we kind of made a commitment that, it's hard because we sort of put on furlough, and furlough kind of allowed our clubs and sport to survive because it kept us, people going and wages that officially we wasn't, training and things. And so it was hard to kind of just keep each other to account without sort of giving schedules. We wasn't given a schedule in the sense of we wasn't told we need to do this, we need to do that. But we kind of took it upon ourselves as a playing group to make sure that we looked after each other. We sort of won a grand final last year, and our aims this year was very much to retain that title. And we knew what we did in this sort of lockdown was going to have a massive bearing on how we come back to play and whether we're going to have a real chance to get back to Old Trafford and hopefully win another grand final. That's how we sort of went about it. We would sort of made a commitment that we was going to, keep on top of each other, train as hard as we can, and keep sort of a bit of a diver there. Show people what you're doing. Just make sure you kind of honouring what we commit to as a playing group at the start of the year, which was to go on and achieve what we want to achieve, and that was it. That underlying sort of knowing, that underlying feeling of we're going to go on and come back and want to achieve what we need to achieve, then this is what we need to be doing, and that's just the be all and end all. We're like I said, we're quite a highly motivated team, and we do hold each other to account. What's expected us, not just from our club, our coaching staff and senior figures, it's what we expect of each other as players, which is quite strong in our team. And that was enough to kind of drive everyone to do what they needed to do.
No, that's really good to know that everyone was a part of that process. Is that the short-term goal of this season, is to retain the Super League title? I'm guessing from obviously the way that the club's currently positioned in the league, and obviously as a team that, like you said, is that is the short-term goal of St Helens this season.
Yeah, very much. Our goal at the start of every year at a club like St Helens is to win 3 trophies. We want to win the Challenge Cup, the league leaders, and Super League. That's just what we want to. That's why you play for a club like St Helens, because that's just what's expected. It's a massive club, and we're expected to be around those trophies and finals. But yeah, very much so. We had the World Club Challenge at the start of the year, and we fell just short in that one against Sydney, and narrowed it down to the other 3 trophies. And unfortunately, we lost to Warrington in the Challenge Cup. So then that's just narrowed down our goals even more so now. But if anything, made them more intense, and now we go about it. Want to retain both the league leaders and Super League. It's as simple as that. That they're our aims, and we're expecting to be as close as, if not, to kind of go on and do that.
What about yourself? What's your personal goals this year? I mean, like, obviously, is it just obviously the team? Is there any other personal goals for yourself, like moving forward? Not just this year, maybe next year. I know, obviously, there's plans of the World Cup going ahead next year. I mean, that depends on obviously how things turn out. But are they the sort of short-term, long-term goals for yourself?
I think I've obviously gone on. I've managed to play international now for a few years, and I've been around the squad. And personally, it's just playing as best as I can. I've sort of, as I've got older and I've played more games, my place in the team's changed so much in dynamics and in what's expected of me. So obviously, when I first started playing for St Helens, my personal goal was being picked every week. That's what I wanted to be, and that was sort of my goal for the first couple of years at Saints. I'd sort of come in, I was a bit fresh, I was very raw, but getting picked every week was my personal goal, and when I did that, and off the back of that, that was kind of then, the next best was international, and I managed to go on and achieve that, as well as now I'm sort of I've just knocked, turned the other side of 30. I'm very much one of the leaders in the team now, and what's expected of me every week is a good performance, and we're doing the right things away from rugby as well as on match day. So it's just making sure I put in a performance of what's expected of me, and hopefully that'll help the club go on to and the team to achieve what we want to achieve. And if it means I'm sort of around that international stage for a little bit longer and being a part of a World Cup squad next year, then that'll be great. I've obviously played in the 2017 World Cup and fell just short in the final there, and hopefully we can go one step further and win a World Cup. I think that'd be unbelievable. If it can be a part of an England winning World Cup squad for the first time in God knows how long, for 40 years, I imagine it's been a long time. That'd be huge. So, but it's always about the immediate. The immediate is making sure I'm doing the right thing around the team, around the squad, doing what I need to do on match day, and I'll worry about internationals when they come along. But hopefully I'll be a part of that. It's always about your club form, whether you're going to be playing or not.
How was that experience? Can I just ask about in 2017 when you went to play that World Cup? What was that experience like going to Australia and being a part of that team?
Unbelievable. I'd sort of come so close on the previous years of playing for England, and for one reason or another, I just sort of not happened. So I had some pretty bad injuries in 2015 and 16, and missed out then, and especially in 15, I'd sort of had a pretty bad ankle injury in the last game, unfortunately, and Steve Mack was coach and sort of said you'd been playing, and which was heartbreaking, and to get that close and to miss out because of an injury, and that sort of kept happening. I kept getting close and missing out, and it got to 2017, and I got I'd fallen away from the sort of elite performance squad, which is quite a broad squad before it gets narrowed down, and I'd sort of got picked out to play in the 2017 Samoa Test in which was over in Sydney in May, I think it was. So I flew out, and unfortunately I didn't get picked that game. I was 18th man, and I just felt I was always going to be so close, but we'd never go on to do it. And in 2017, the World Cup came along, and I got picked again in the World Cup squad, and I was down to make my international debut against Australia in the World Cup opener, and I got cellulitis that week. And I was like, I thought, it's never going to happen. I'm cursed here. It's just not going to happen. And so I missed out the opener, and thankfully I had some pretty strong antibiotics and managed to recover after about a week. And I was on a drip for a few days, but we got through it. And Wayne Bennett was the coach, and he sort of said, you'll play the week after, and thankfully I did. And it felt amazing, but it also felt a bit of a weight off my shoulder because I'd come so close on so many occasions and never quite made it happen. That pressure of actually going out and doing it sort of just come off my shoulders then, and it's probably allowed me then to continue playing for pretty much ever since. Obviously I missed out in 2018 because of injury again, but I've sort of been around the squad ever since that game, and I think it's just that pressure being released and allowing me to kick on, which has been a big part of that. But it's the greatest of honours to sing your national anthem, and especially in a World Cup final, to go on what we did is, obviously we got so close and it was such a tight game, and for anyone who's watched the game knows about the ankle tap, which sort of stopped us going on and scoring in the last 5 minutes to equalise. It was it was an unbelievable effort, but we fell short. But if it's one thing it's done is as an international group, it's sort of spurred us on to go on better in 2021. But huge, unbelievable honour, and again something what I'm incredibly proud of, because when I sort of started this journey all them years ago, I think I'd gone and playing these kind of games would to say they were far fetched would be an understatement. It's been a hell of a ride, and some of the moments have been unbelievable.
I bet they have been. And I wanted to just sort of touch on your I mentioned a little bit about future. Is the future to stay at St Helens and finish your career there? And what have you got any aspirations of what you would like to do after rugby as well? Have you thought that far ahead, or is it just rugby at the moment's the sole focus?
Yeah, I'm just concentrating on the immediate at the minute. That's $1 million questions. What do I do after rugby? It's something I'm struggling to to choose and find myself thinking about. But at the minute, I've got a few years left on my deal at Saints, and I'd probably like to extend and see my career out at Saints. In my last year, my contract's my testimonial. So I've done 10 years, but I'd like to do a few more. I'd like to finish at Saints, but we'll see what happens. I like to think I've still got a few good years left in me. I've turned the NRL down a few times, and we'll see if there's an opportunity there in a couple of years. If there is, I wouldn't mind going over and challenging myself out there for 12 months or 2 years, see if I can hack it in the best league. But that's it. Rugby, we'll just see what happens in the next few years. Hopefully, the body holds up and stay away from injuries, and I can extend one way or another, whether it's at Saints or elsewhere. We'll see what happens further down the line. But post rugby, it's a tough one. When I sort of started playing at Saints, and I'd kind of just I was due to be a quantity surveyor. That's what I did at uni, and to be honest, I was about the week before. Well, the week I signed for St Helens, the week after I was supposed to start a job as a QS straight from uni, and I always thought I'd just fall back into that. But I think being in this environment, what I've been in for so long now, and I've sort of come, acclimatised to this sort of environment, I'd probably struggle to jump ship straight back into sort of that kind of role. So I think I'd love to stay in the game. In what capacity, I'm not too sure. Obviously, we're not a sport what's got hundreds of coaching jobs available, and there's hundreds of teams up and down the country where I could sort of find myself going at. We're quite a small league, and there might not be much there, but I'd love to stay in the game in one way or another. Just might not be feasible, so we'll see what happens. I've got a few coaching certificates on there if I do decide to sort of have a crack at that, but we'll see. I've sort of winged it in my life up until now. I'll probably just keep winging it.
And just finally, I've got a couple of questions that I like to finish on when I do my podcasts. And the first question is for yourself: is what does it mean to be human?
Oh, it's to be a dad. For me, to be human is getting up in the morning and seeing the kids' faces, and the smile when they get in from training. How excited they are to see you. They're probably the only people who enjoy seeing me, to be honest, and my kids. So that sort of look on their face when I come through the door, they're both buzzing to see me. That's what it's like to be human for me.
And finally, I'd like to ask you as well: is what helps you stay humble? Is it the family again? Or
yeah, and there's enough people around me who would not be down the peg to afford to get above my station. I think it's easy to be humble, especially in my environment and the sport I play. We're very much a northern working class sport who sort of look after each other and we look after our own. I'm very much aware of where I'm from and who's helped me along the way, and I'll never get above that sort of station. And I'm very much, I know where I've come from, and I'll always be there when this is all done and I'm back to being a normal person, so to speak. It's easy to be humble. I've got family around me. I've got my kids. They're the reasons why, and it's for me. I think it's quite easy.
That's great to know that they help with that. I just want to thank you very much for jumping on this podcast. I really appreciate it, and I really wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And I wish you good luck in the future as well, in terms of next year, hopefully with the World Cup and the rest of your career.
Thanks, Dave. No, I've enjoyed it, mate. Appreciate you having me on, and best of luck with the podcast. I hope it kicks on.
Thank you.